Hello and welcome to this installment of our blues study entitled Horny Blues. So let the That's What She Said jokes begin. No, get your mind out of the gutter. This is about playing horn riffs on the electric guitar. You see, by the mid-40s, the electric guitar was becoming very common. And so what they discovered was the guitar could play a lot of the same things that a horn could do, could achieve a lot of the same sounds that a horn section could. Try to picture a four-piece horn section with a band, a trumpet, alto and tenor sax, and a trombone. Now picture the top four strings of your guitar, and you can achieve a lot of the same voicings that you can get out of a horn section. So you were seeing the demise of big horn sections due in large part to the electric guitar and the technology of amplification and whatnot. Now I'm not saying I'm not saying that there's a substitution for a good horn section because a good horn section is just killer. But a lot of times what it boils down to is paying one musician as opposed to paying four extras. So that has something to do with it too. But let's take a look at how you can apply some of these really cool horn type phrases and sounds with your guitar. So the chord voicings we're going to use the dominant 9, which we've already talked about. You can look at the last lesson for that, or I did a lesson called Niner, and it's got that in there too. So the 9 chord, and then also the major 6. We're going to introduce the major 6 chord into our vocabulary. A major 6 is just taking your typical major triad and adding kind of a color tone, which is the 6. So if we're in A, our typical A major triad of A being the 1, C sharp being the 3rd, and the E being the 5, and we're just going to add in a 6, which is F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this voicing, we're going to use the top 4 strings again, sticking with high range rhythms. Have our A, C sharp, F sharp, then another A. So we've omitted the 5, and that's okay. You can do that. You see you have a wide range of notes here. You can include this low A if you want to, but you just have this wide range of sound. Now how you would use this, there's a couple of different chord sets where you can use the 6. You can either have your 1 chord be a 6, and then your 4 chord be a 9, your 5 chord be a 9, and then back to your root again. So in A, you'd have an A6, you have the D9, and then also the E9. So, you kind of get this little... So kind of a cool little way, rather than just using A, D, and E all the time. The other chord set that you can use, you can have the 1 chord be the 9. In the case of C, you have the 1 chord as 9. You can have the 4 chord as a 6, which would be an F6. And your 5 chord, G, you can also have that as a 6. So that way you get a little bit of a different voicing too, having the 1 as 9 and the 4 and 5 be 6. Phrasing is very, very important in rhythm. Horn sections really pay attention to this so that they can synchronize their sound. And you need to be able to synchronize with the rest of the band as the electric guitar player. Phrasing refers to the duration and dynamics of notes and chords. And so the way that this is expressed in sheet music, which you need to know the basics of sheet music if you don't already. This is really expressed through ties and slurs, something that you don't see in tablature, which is why you need to know the little black dots. So before I show you this, you need to know the difference between a tie and a slur. There's a slur. It's a curved line connecting a group of notes. A tie is a curved line connecting single notes of the same pitch. The main difference is the slur can connect notes of different pitch. This is where things like hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides come into play. with a guitar. All right, so I'll give you an example of the use of ties and slurs for legato phrasing and then some staccato phrasing. So this will be figure 1 of the exercises, and then I'll give you a separate exercise for you to work on. You take a chord like a G6. You turn on your metronome, which I'm going to do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. So you're just holding the notes out. You're just holding the notes out, and you want to be very aware of the timing. When you stop playing, when you rest, and for how long these notes ring out, and that's very, very important. Staccato, you're just hitting, short notes. I'll turn the metronome on again. Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. So I'll have those two examples for you to look at. And again, very important to note when there are rests, just when you have to stop sound from coming out of the guitar so that you can sync up with other musicians, maybe even a horn section if you're in a horn section with a guitar. Now you want to take these chords and through the use of embellishments, add some movement to the notes. Another thing that horn sections do quite a bit. Half-step embellishments. What you're doing is taking a chord and you're taking its neighbor with a half step down, and you're just connecting the two. Something like that. So embellishment's pretty easy to do. You're just keeping the same fingering. You're just moving one step. You're taking one half step down and bringing it up like that. Whole step embellishments is another thing you can do. Kind of sounds like a Cialis commercial or something. Now, this is an interesting case. If you take an A6 like this and you slide it down, you would think that that's a G6 based on what we just talked about. And technically you'd be right, except for what we did was we left the A note as our bass. And when the A note stays in the bass with this chord, G6, it's no longer a G6, it's an A9. So that can be kind of confusing. Here's why. If you look at the G6, your 1, G, B, which is your 3rd, E, which is your 6. If you add in the bass note A and we revolve these notes, if we relate these notes to the A, we get A as our 1, G is the flat 7 of the A, B is the 9 or the 2 of the A, and your E, that's your 5, and then back to the G, the flat 7. So you have the makeup of a G6, but when you add in the A bass note, you have the A9. So that gives, you're going from an A6 to an A9, gives the chord a little movement. So an example of this, and I'll have this written down, just something very simple you can do with this. If I can turn my metronome on again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And see, what I did there was through the use of slurs and ties. Ties just holding the note and adding 2 different note values. And slurs, these quick little slides. The first slide is kind of a grace note, meaning it's a really quick, on the same beat, real quick slide. And then a slur, a little slower slide, 2 eighth notes, 1 and. Hopefully this has shown you a little bit more of the range of sound that can be achieved with a guitar. So have some fun, practice up, I'll see you next time.